Hey, everybody, John and Lance from the bench on ESPN 97.5. Glad you could join us. Let's talk some more Texans football here. The Texans right now at BetMGM, Lance, under-over wins, 7.5. The Titans and the Colts are 8.5. Other 7.5 teams, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Broncos. Are the Texans with the Raiders and the Chargers and Broncos as opposed to the Titans and the Colts right now?
Yeah, I think so. When you take everything into account, when you take into account the questionable defense the Texans have, when you take into account the injury history of the wide receivers they added, and they took away a guy who was a known commodity. We knew what Hopkins was going to do. We knew what Watson to Hopkins looked like. We don't know on these guys, so it's a little bit more up in the air. I think I could make a case for there to be an overplay there, how 8 or 9 could be the number, maybe even 10 if the right things bounce your way and fall your way. But I still, when I think about the Titans, I think the Titans are a 10-win team or maybe even more. I think the Titans, as long as Tannehill doesn't screw this up, is in good shape. I don't know what the Colts. I don't know what Phillip Rivers is going to look like with, he's taken a downward turn. I don't know what the Colts are going to look like. I have more faith in the Colts as a whole, their roster and the way that they're built and the head coach and all that. I have more faith in what the Colts do than the Texans, but I also like Watson better than Rivers. So That's a little tougher to me. I think the Broncos are a sneaky – I definitely think the Broncos are doing this. I think the Raiders are doing this, and I think the Texans are potentially doing this right now. Well, we got to see if they stem the flow.
I think it's a little disrespectful. No, a little disrespectful. The Raiders have done nothing. When was the last time the Raiders were a factor? The Chargers have a rookie quarterback that wasn't very good, quite frankly. And the Broncos have a second-year quarterback. Now, they came in here and slapped that hiney in Houston. But I'm not sure that they're going to be consistent. We'll see. I like what they've done in the offseason as well. The Broncos look pretty good. But the Texans have listen, under Bill O'Brien, they've overachieved, quite frankly, and they win the division. That's what they do year in and year out, and they step up and they play for this guy. And I'm not so sure that if everybody stays healthy, that this offense isn't going to be pretty good. Could Bill O'Brien, with these weapons, when you look at the weapons in Cobb and Cooks and Fuller and Stills if he's here and Johnson, you got the makings of what could be, and plus the tight ends that are decent. You got the makings of what could be a good offense. Now, it's going to have to be a great offense because the defense isn't going to be very good.
Yeah, and I don't see that. I don't think you have the makings of a great offense. Cobb to me is just, I don't know. I haven't been all that impressed with him for 3 years now. I don't know where
Well, he played pretty well last year.
Another non-1,000-yard season. That's fine. Stills is just a guy. You can find Kenny Stills wherever. Fuller hasn't proven he can be healthy. I mean, I get all that. I don't see Cobb getting a lot better. I don't see that happening. He's a veteran. Kenny Stills is who he's going to be, and there's talk about them trying to move him anyway. I don't know. The only guy that has to play for the Texans right now, the main guy, is Deshaun Watson. If you lose Deshaun Watson, if Bill O'Brien loses Deshaun Watson, and I'm hoping that Bill O'Brien not being the play caller this year, I'm hoping that Tim Kelly being able to create the offensive game plan, and if Bill O'Brien stays out of it, actually, John, that could be a big benefit. That could be a big advantage for the Texans.
No, I agree. And you know what? The Texans always overplay their team. They do under Bill O'Brien. Now, not in the postseason, but they win in the regular season, and they step up and they play hard for him. And even when they lose, they continue to play hard for him. As much as we criticize this guy, the football coach has actually done a good job.
Okay. Yeah, I think he's okay. Do you think that I think the division is not going to be as easy this year? I think the Colts are going to bounce back a little bit with a veteran presence at quarterback. They added Jonathan Taylor, another running back. They added DeForest Buckner in the middle. He's a big factor. And then the Titans, to me, are on the way up. Yeah. I like what the Titans have done over the last couple of years. And I think they know who they are, and there's no doubt about what they're supposed to do. Jaguars have talent all over the place, but they're a disaster on the back end right now. And there's no, somebody's going to have to prove to me that they've got some chemistry in the locker room because I haven't seen it. But I don't think it's a layup for the Texans when it comes to that division. I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I think it'll be a little tougher.
No, but I think the 7.5 is a little disrespectful for a team that has just been better than that.
Would you make it 8.5? Would you have any interest?
I would have the three of them at 8.5.
You think the Texans are a 9-win team?
I don't think that you can say that either of those two teams should be ranked above the Texans at this point. Listen, I think the overreact, and I think there is plenty of it. Now, we're pissed off because DeAndre Hopkins didn't get more in value. That's what I'm really pissed off about, that you didn't get more value. But I think the overreaction of the trade for DeAndre Hopkins is extreme. From a football standpoint.
Yeah, right. Do you think the Texans are a 9-win team?
I think that they could absolutely be 9-7.
I think they could too. I think you have to ask yourself, which of those teams that you mentioned, how would you rank them in terms of best chances to be 9-win teams? Now you have to look at the whole. You have to look at the whole schedule, obviously. Yeah. But I don't get the feeling that the Texans are at the top of that list of 9-win teams. I think they're more 8-7.
You're going to have to convince me that Phillip Rivers is going to be all that this season, and I'm not buying it. I don't
think he's going to be all that. Can he be better than Jacoby Brissett?
Yes, he can be. Yeah. But I'm not sure. Jacoby Brissett can certainly get the ball down the field better than he can. I think it's the Titans and the Texans in this division. And the Colts are right. So I think they're a little disrespectful, and I'm taking the over on our Houston Texans.